on the next episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
Well, Valentine's Day is here yet again, and we've decided to forget the roses and those chalky little hearts and those cutesy juvenile messages. Instead, we're going to share something that really says, I love you.
Got anybody else with you? This guy.
You guessed it, beer. Wonderful beer. For this episode, we're going to do a bottle share. But we aren't sharing beers we would pick for ourselves. Oh, no. No, we are true romantics at heart. And each host has brought a beer that they would choose for their sweetheart. So, for this episode, each host is going to introduce their sweetheart beer before we taste it.
We'll be right back after this break. Brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Oh, welcome, all of our beer fanatics and beer romantics. Welcome to another Sud segment where we believe in love at first sight. Like when good old boy Sparky saw his wife Abby for the first time.
Where did she file that lawsuit? Which jurisdiction?
Hey, look,
was that federal court?
After the laser eye surgery, things got different.
Back in the day, hiding in the bushes wasn't illegal.
Was she an attorney before?
Oh, no, that came after.
That came after?
Tragically, yeah.
Maybe that was a cause and effect
I
situation.
think it was, yeah. Now, I never really thought of it.
I'm going to be married to you. I am going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, literally, she started law school the fall after the summer we got married. So that's, I think I just figured that out. Thanks, Mike.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Damn.
Or when good old boy Kendall saw his wife June for the first time.
Yeah, it was good. But honestly,
which Star Wars movies were you seeing at the time?
She approached me first.
Whoa.
Nice. You know, I knew I liked June for
tagged,
a
and bagged.
Or when good old boy Mike set eyes on his Dawn.
Oh, I was threatened just like, Kendall was. So, yeah,
She said, hey, you, over here.
Actually,
right
I stood Dawn up on her second date. Oh. I did, yes. She knew I was the one right then and there, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a real winner.
That's what the T-shirt says.
Oh, boy. Or when good old boy Dave first saw me holding an English I was not holding an English barley wine. I was holding something from New Belgium.
I was thinking of a large blunt object.
That was every day after.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I am one of your hosts, good old gal Julieanna. Joining me today at the table for this romantic fest is good old boy Kendall.
It is a pleasure to be here today.
Good old boy Mike.
Oh, Juliet, how I love thee. Let me sip the ways.
Wow.
God almighty.
We're in for a wild ride. Buckle in, folks. Good old boy Sparky. Hello.
Hi.
And what a lovely shirt you are wearing today.
Thanks. It's a Bill Murray shirt, actually. He's got his own line of
Does he really?
shirts. Yes, this is a Chicago
wiener dog.
Shirt, yeah.
Nice. And good old boy Dave. Yo.
Wet dream tomato.
My God.
Was that the song that you were hearing when you first set eyes
Yes.
on Dave? Is that it?
Yeah. That was our wedding song we did.
We met at a beer fest. What are you talking about? I don't think there was any music going on at the time, except for the sound of traffic.
I'm thinking of Papa Man, so yeah.
No, this was the one festival at the riverfront. They couldn't afford it.
Oof.
It's the one from Frugal McDougal.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That one.
So they ran out of glasses.
And ran out of beer and ran out of everything.
Nothing says I love you like I ran out of beer.
I knew we were in trouble when the first brewery on the inside had a couple of 6-packs, and that's all they brought.
Yeah, this is how it's all gonna go. Fast.
You set the tone.
And I was given a solo cup because they ran out of glasses.
Wow.
Well, it is natural.
Yes. Well, true, fair. Okay. Well, Valentine's Day is here yet again, and we've decided to forget the roses and those chalky little hearts and those cutesy juvenile messages. Instead, we're going to share something that really says, I love you.
Got anybody else with you?
This guy.
You guessed it, beer. Wonderful beer. For this episode, we're going to do a bottle share.
I'm not drink enough until your friend is good looking.
But we aren't sharing beers we would pick for ourselves. Oh, no. No, we are true romantics at heart. And each host has brought a beer that they would choose for their sweetheart. So, for this episode, each host is going to introduce their sweetheart beer before we taste it. And before we get to it, good old boy Sparky, would you give us the Suds ratings for today? And to help set the mood for this episode, please do them in the voice of a character in a really bad rom-com.
Well, I feel like in most movies, it's either going to be Hugh Grant or Colin Firth. So that's the only two choices that you have. So we will be discussing and rating these beers with these Suds ratings, plus our belching sound signature. Quite not very posh. Here are those ratings now. That sucks. Give me anything but a broken heart. Was that foppish enough? Was that a belch, my love? It sounded like the laughter of angels. Ah, what a relief. This year I wouldn't spend Valentine's Day eating ice cream on the couch with my hand in my pants watching The Notebook before crying myself to sleep.
That's very true. I can see that.
For a body should really not make that sound. Or maybe it should, Randy. And 5, listen to that hang time. Give me another taste of that sweet, sweet lovin'. Or perhaps we'll come together at the very end of the movie.
That was pretty good.
I'm not sure if that was a rom-com or masterpiece theater, but either way, I like it.
I think it was perfect.
I'm
Absolutely
just a boy here drinking a beer,
Holding a boombox.
holding a boombox. Just call me McLovin.
Okay, well, we shall get started. And
Oh, yeah, it started already.
Yeah, we're there.
And we shall get started with good old boy Kendall. What did you bring today for your sweetheart?
Oh, just something old I found in the fridge. This is a beer I love, and it's a beer that I think goes well with a special occasion, and that is Cantillon's Classic Gueuze. This was a couple of their small bottles from 2016 I've had stashed away on their side at cellar temps. And boy, I think it's just a great beer. It ages really nicely. But the thing I like about this is you can drink this with a really nice meal. So I'm thinking, Valentine's Day, I want to do something fancy. I might put together a little cheese plate, cheese and charcuterie to start, and nothing goes with that better, especially with blue cheeses and those nice funky cheeses, than a good Cantillon Gueuze. Those kind of funky flavors really work together well. I mean, I love eating blue cheese with this stuff. So it's a great way to start a meal if you don't want to go with wine. I mean, I think beer pairs with cheese so much better than wine anyway. And so this is something I'm going to do to elevate the meal.
Beer does almost everything better than wine.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
agreed.
So I'm picturing you, scantily clad on a bearskin rug in front of the fire, seducing June with a charcuterie board
Things
and
just really got
Cantillon.
uncomfortable.
That's that.
I would think I'd be wearing an apron since I was working in the kitchen.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah. All right.
Nothing but an apron.
All right.
Yeah, that would do. But yeah, this is just a beer I love, and it is a beer I break out for special occasions. And honestly, I don't have many left. Need to restock. But that's the nice thing about this. If you can find a case of this, get it, sit on it, drink it for the next 10 years.
I think time has been very good to this. That was the first thing that caught my attention, is just how good this is, and even in a cellar format. And I agree with you. I love even the cheese that you picked. Would you go Gorgonzola or Stilton?
I mean, either. The funkier, the better.
Yeah, I agree. Any good funky style cheese with this, just I'll put a sign that says "Go away," and leave me alone to enjoy this.
Mike's not going to share it.
I mean,
absolutely
Stilton's
not.
go with just about
No.
so many good beers, though.
Yeah.
That's true. That's just a fantastic cheese for beer.
But I think a lot of people, when you look at lambic styles, I think a lot of people are thinking that very tart, harsh, component, and they move away from seeing just how well balanced and soft this can be, just with a little bit of time. So yeah, if you're picking up any of those 2 and 3 year lambics, or if you want to go with a full Gueuze, definitely drop it in the cellar for 2 to 3 years. You will be rewarded with your patience.
I wanted to say thank you for sharing this with us. I think that means you really love us, and I appreciate it.
Beer is my love language.
Thank you.
I do need some blue cheese.
And I also love that we opened this up a little bit earlier to let it, go up a little bit. And then the third thing I was going to say is, it's been a minute since I've had a Cantillon Gueuze, and I love Gueuze, but the first sip that I had, like every salivary gland in my mouth like exploded, and I almost choked because it was just like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Okay, so for those that don't know, this is just a little bit of housekeeping here. So this is the Cantillon Classic Gueuze, 5% ABV. Although, I mean, come on.
right.
Right?
It's so low you can drink.
Wow, it's that high?
I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of Gueuzes are 4.
That's
yeah,
true.
so-
You do get Gueuzes lower, but compared to so many other beers that start at 5 and only go up, that's why this makes a beautiful. You can polish off a big bottle of this with your friends, and
Oh my gosh.
not even feel it.
Right. And like you said, it goes with everything. It's a classic, and it's so consistent in flavor throughout the years. Like you can't get like. That's mastery.
It's got that classic Cantillon taste. Cantillon when you taste it.
Yeah, by far. And I just had some emotional damage, though, because I realized that 2016 was 9 years ago, and I don't understand how that happened.
Where did the time
Yeah.
go?
Shh. Yeah. And also, a Gueuze is a blend of 1, 2, and 3-year-old lambics for those that don't know. We are going to rate this a 5. Of course. Yes.
I'm just shocked that he's like, this is some old thing I found in my fridge. Like, what?
Yeah. We'll be back with more in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. So today is a special love episode, if you will.
I think we should think about adding something to our ratings, whether, thumbs up, you're getting laid, or a thumbs down, you're not, after picking this beer. So I think Kendall is getting laid, thumbs up.
Well, the way Sparky was talking about it, I mean,
Erotic Gueuze.
Yeah. A 5 is not, I mean, if you're going to stick with the plan, then stick with the plan, so.
Gosh, you're so funny.
well, 5% beer that gets a 5 might get you laid, but like if it was a 16% beer,
It could be a
might
1
just
and you
be
still.
taking a nap.
Speaking of which,
That's fair. Okay. Well, for those of you just tuning in, today's episode, we asked each of our co-hosts
about getting laid.
to bring in a beer that they would give to their sweetheart. So, good old boy Kendall, thank you so much for bringing that, if I didn't say that enough times. Good old boy Mike, What did you bring for your sweetheart?
Well, so the beer that I selected is from AleSmith. This is from their vintage series. It is the private stock ale. The ABV on this is 11%. It is a Imperial English style ale. The reason why I picked this particular beer was my wife is not a hop fan. And
yet you two married. Go figure.
So she thinks she doesn't like any hops, and yet I have served a beer to her that has no hops in it. She's like, I do not like this. And I'm like, okay. So the thing is that not all hops are evil. And so, in fact, they're an essential
Pernicious
ingredient,
weed.
towards really most beers have, some hop, component in it. I think she is definitely a noble hop, person. I think she's probably a Fuggles, if I had to pick probably
That's
a hop
his,
profile.
pet name for her, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuggles. Yeah.
Wow. Not go anywhere near that.
But, she likes, other wheat styles, Hefeweizen. She, there are Pilsners So that was the reason why I selected this, is because I think that it was stepping into the taste profile that I think that, she would really enjoy. But I wanted something that was much like Kendall chose. I wanted something that was kicked up. And I really love Old English ales. I love, especially this one, Old Stock from North Coast is, another one that's very close. I like those Belgian strong ales, that are, similar style to this. This has been sold for about 9 years. So it's, I think it's been lovingly, stored well. And I think I think time has definitely done this a favor. I really enjoy this.
Okay, for the uneducated, go to Boy Kendall. What classifies an old ale?
Well, they're just a little bit stronger British ales. So, most of us know British ales is either the stouts and porters or the bitters and the things like that. This is off to a little bit more a different direction, where it's a lot more of that malty flavor that the British are known for, but they even kick it up a notch. I'm getting a little raisin, a little toffee, just
Figs.
that dark sugar. Yeah. And so you get a completely different flavor profile. Plus they crank, the alcohol way up, because the reason it was an old ale is because it was aged. And that's one of the reasons
It would survive shipping.
Yep. It would have that big alcohol content. So these are going to be big beers with big flavors. There's really no hops at all, except the little bit they need. There's no bitterness on these. These are like malt bombs.
And still distinct from a barley wine, though, which is equally big, but a little more.
Maybe a little more bitterness on the side. Yeah,
balance.
these are a lot softer. And the thing I like about this is it's, even though it is very malty, it doesn't come across as overly sweet. I mean, the finish on this is kind of amazing for as much malt as in it. It almost has that dry sensation on your palate like a good Belgian beer has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say, is it's surprisingly dry at the end, considering, what it is at the beginning.
Oh, sure. And something that will age. I mean, this is 9 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you think it's hit its peak? Or do you think it could even stand to be a little bit longer?
No, I think this is right in the sweet spot for this. Okay. I think if I'd probably sold this for another 3 years, I think we'd have been catching it on the downward
I agree.
trend.
I think somewhere between
it'd get too sweet.
Between 6 and 9 is good with these beers. It just depends, and we've seen that in other big malty beers that we've aged. That 6 year to 9 year mark can be ideal.
Sure. Okay. What would you pair with this?
Wow. Well, I'd have to pick something that she likes, which is tacos. So she's
Old ale and Taco Tuesday night.
Wow. Hey.
I can see it.
That's a wild night.
Those the birria tacos, man.
I can definitely see really good beef Wellington going with this.
Absolutely.
I can see. Trying to think of some other things that would pair well with this. I love the cheese choice, but I would probably go with more of a camembert, like a creamy style, cheese. Mm-hmm. I can see all that kind of working. I don't know, Sparky. What do you're a good beer pairing choice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you hit on the head when you said a Wellington. I think, yeah, something like a good brisket, perhaps. I think this would go really well with that. Yeah, just something to kind of, it's the fat to kind of cut through some of that.
Yeah, the beef. I think you're onto something here. Beef is going to go really well with this. I think no matter how you cook it, just those flavors you get of that, the Maillard effect as the beef cooks really pairs well with the Maillard effect that happened to the grains in this thing.
And I think I think you could call it just something new, like maybe steak and ale or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was thinking of shepherd's pie, something like
work.
that.
Ooh, yeah.
I think the one thing that I find interesting is that, normally, Belgian strong ales like a Chimay Grand Reserve is really where you're looking for a lot of those fig and raisin components kind of jump in. And this is not necessarily the same style. And yet I still find a lot of the same, experiences, but this is not as intense, I think, as you would find in that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But man, boy, try to compare these styles blind together. Those dark Belgian ales with these dark English ales, they really overlap. It's not as easy as you think.
A lot of the difference just come down to the yeast strains, I guess.
Even then, it can be tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Get that big and that boozy. I'm just thinking about Mike,
big and boozy.
Yeah, and serving up some of this with some steak to dawn. And he's all like,
shake my hips just a little bit more.
Gosh. Good old boy Dave, any last quick thoughts about this beer?
That's all I really wanted to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been saving that clip for a long
I know
time.
that has been aged almost as well as the beer. That's
I don't remember seeing that.
Okay, I think this is another successful beer, and we shall rate this a 5.
Nice choice, Mike.
Thank you.
One of the things we didn't talk about is Mike brought this just barely chilled. Everything else was a little colder.
Right.
This beer works really well at almost room temperature.
Okay. Thank you.
Really good point.
Yeah, I literally pulled this out of the cellar about 3 or 4 hours ago and decided not to chill it anymore.
Perfect choice for a beer like this.
I really thought that would help this thing sing. I don't know that it's at full room temperature right now, but it's probably like 60.
If you pulled it out at 40 degrees and open it, this would probably not be as good.
It'd take a while to open.
You wouldn't get the flavor.
You're gonna have to wait for it to warm up anyways to really get for sure. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
But would I get laid with this?
I'm
not gonna go there.
Fear the wrath of Dawn. Is that it?
well, anyways. Okay. So okay, moving on. Good old boy Sparky, you put a nice little twist on your sweetheart beer now, didn't you?
I did. I decided to bring 2 varieties of the same beer, one in a bottle and one in the can.
Because at Sip Suds and Smokes, we are always thinking.
It's true. We take it one step further than we have to.
Did you get that memo? We're always thinking. Did you hear that?
I do not believe that's our catchphrase.
No, that is
She didn't say what we're thinking about.
I didn't. I left that open to interpretation.
thanking.
I'd never use that as a tagline in the management memos.
Okay, so what did you bring today?
So I brought today from New Glarus in Wisconsin, Strawberry Rhubarb, which is a seasonal beer that they do almost every year. There's been some years where they haven't been able to get enough rhubarb to do it. But this is my wife's favorite beer. She's originally from Madison, Wisconsin, and I have 2 sources to get this beer from. There's this gentleman by the name of Chris Ramada who will send it to me. And one of my good friends, Trent Rosenblum, usually brings me back some in the summer. And there's a legend that 60% of the time this beer works every time in my household. So, so it's really my wife's favorite thing of all time. And I'll usually light a couple of candles, set the music, and then Strawberry Rhubarb. But it's a great beer.
Now, which one is the can? Because I know you guys can't see this in Radioland, but they are distinctively differently colored.
They are, yeah.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah, the stuff from the bottle is much darker than the stuff from the can. So,
however, the stuff from the bottle is older than the stuff from the can.
That's
correct?
right. Yeah, the bottle is about 6 years old, and the can is about 3 years old. So, yeah.
Now, this is oddly enough like a 4% ABV beer, which really always blows me away when I see that because it always has great flavor. And then it is, strawberries and rhubarb.
So I really love the storyline behind how this beer got started. And so if you've heard us talk about this beer before, I thought I'd just kind of refresh everybody. This beer actually got created out of a huge mistake. So there was a huge hailstorm that came into this area of Wisconsin, and it damaged a lot of crops, including this strawberry farm that was in Wisconsin. And so they could not take them to market because the fruit had been damaged. And so they were shopping to sell it off as animal feed. And the brewer actually got wind that, there was, this whole huge, crop of strawberries that was going to be available for literally pennies on the dollar. And so they said, well, we've never done anything with strawberry, but at that price, we'll figure it out. Bring the fruit to us and we will make a beer out of it. And so that is how this beer actually got created.
Nice.
Was out of just a huge, storm that came around.
Good job, Mother Nature.
And now I don't know if they had made a few pilot, versions of this recipe and the introduction of rhubarb to actually balance out, some of the sugars in the fruit or not. But even the early versions of this that we had when it was first released were just absolutely stunning. And everybody, it was one of those things that you tasted and went, wow, I've never had anything like this before. And I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I think it's a testament to the brewing capabilities to make a beer like this consistently, every year, because your crops are going to vary so much. I mean, rhubarb,
especially with fruit.
Yeah. I mean, the rhubarb and strawberries are little fickle wenches, and you can get a super sweet crop one year and not so much another. And
you never know the bricks you're going to be working with.
Yeah. And to be able to,
which is sugar,
kind of pivot and change your recipe a bit to make up for that is really incredible.
Yeah, and I've always had so many questions about this beer too. Is it pasteurized? Is it really technically, I've heard this listed as a lambic or, technically a sour or something like that, but it's not really at all. Where would you categorize this?
Yeah. Though I guess maybe some years it might taste like that if the fruit is not as sweet as like a previous iteration.
I will say that just tasting between the two of these, it definitely the 6-year-old bottle has fallen off. It feels like major. Yep. There's still much more brightness from the can.
Well, would you say that the bottle's more jammy? Like.
I know which one I like between the two. I like the can.
Yeah, but
it's
Mike's
more.
Is that because the can's brighter?
So.
Like,
yeah, the can is brighter, but I think you're right. Maybe the bottle is a little more jammy, but I don't think this is a can versus bottle difference because there is such an age difference. I think it's
so.
Mostly an age difference.
Yeah. Totally.
But it still tastes really good for 6-year-old, strawberry rhubarb. But you can tell that this one is really nice at 3 years old.
Yeah, I think it's doing just fine at 3 for sure.
Do you think that canning this since they don't bottle it anymore?
Yeah.
Do you think that canning this preserves it better?
I think there's no question about that.
Okay.
I mean,
but I'd be curious if they are, doing some filtering or pasteurizing.
I wonder.
Because you can't, if you put fruit in a can, we know bad things can happen.
Yeah. And so that has to be, in my mind.
There might be, they might have created an additional step before they put it in a can just for longevity.
Those beers.
Because, they used to put it in those big bombers with the most ineffectual wax the world has ever seen. It's like somebody rubbed it in toothpaste.
It's just always been a great beer, no matter what format it came in.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely love. I'm gonna rephrase it. I like the younger version of this.
Sure.
And I think for those of you that are, when you hear that it's a strawberry rhubarb, I mean, a lot of people when they hear rhubarb, they're thinking of rhubarb pie or any other, and they're thinking of that very heavy, bittering component that's in rhubarb. This is not in this beer. So it is there, but it is there for a matter of balance against all the sugars, against the strawberry. And, strawberry rhubarb is a very common, combination of fruit, especially in, the Midwest, northern Midwest. Part of the U.S.
Yeah, in a perfect universe, I would have strawberry rhubarb jam and strawberry rhubarb pie all the time. Like, I would say that this is a favorite.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true too, for like 1 year they had a tough time sourcing rhubarb, and they were like having people bring them rhubarb and trading them beer for it. I heard that story one time. I don't know if it's true or not.
Never heard it.
Sounds fun. But they would be the guys to do that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Bring us a bushel of rhubarb, you get a case of spotted cow.
Yeah, or two.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's the official secondary currency in Wisconsin.
Well, I'll
Either that or
behind
cheese curds,
right?
I've enjoyed our conversations about pairing. And, the first thing that strikes me is I would actually have this with challah bread.
Well, I like to pair this with nudity. That is really what...
Any flavor of nudity,
It's
right?
true.
Yes.
Maybe chocolate.
I like this. Juice gone wild. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. Plenty of juice.
But you could see this with a tort or something.
Oh, absolutely.
This is
a great dessert.
dark chocolate, desserty. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have
it.
to be something that, would still be very heavy on the palate because you have all of this fruit and sugar, it's
Even
kind
cheesecake.
Yeah.
Nice and fatty.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I like a chocolate tort as well.
Yeah, like a dark,
really
dark.
dense. Like that chocolate cake we got you for your birthday that one year?
Yeah, thank you.
Like that. No, but like something dense and
perfect.
dark like that. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, so Dave, any last thoughts before we...
I have no thoughts.
Okay, so do we rate it together?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, together it's a 5, and then when we go can over bottle?
Yes.
I'm going to go can over bottle, yeah.
Can over bottle.
I like it in the
I
can.
think it's about time versus no time.
Of course you do.
Yeah. I think
Agreed.
I think
Too
6
much
years is too
information
long.
Yep.
I think 3 years is. I like just a little bit of time off this,
A little bit.
just to soften it, just a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back with more in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Today's episode is all about Cupid, in a way. Cupid and beer. I wonder what beer Cupid would drink before he starts, throwing his arrows.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
PBR? Yeah. He probably needs something easy.
He's a working man.
Yeah. You're right.
I got a story
Probably
about
White
throwing
Claw.
some arrows around for sure.
Well,
Really?
well, please, good old boy Mike, do tell.
I really love the fact that there are, people that are trying to find interesting, elements of capturing attention, around Valentine's Day, This is not one that probably would have, been on my radar. So it is a story from the Memphis Zoo, and actually
course it
celebrating
is.
Valentine's Day. So in Tennessee, we have hot, cold, and we're right in the middle of that, right now during our primary recording of this. The zoo has announced a dating or dumping promotion. All right, what do you think that involves?
Well, if it's a zoo, and they're
Not even close.
I'm thinking the color brown is involved. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely a very good choice here, which allows followers to exchange a donation of $10 for a video to pass along as a Valentine's Day gift. Have you figured it out yet? No, you have not.
Scared.
Yep. So it's an adorable video of a red panda munching on a grape or a stinking video of an elephant pooping hitting the pile.
Does that mean you got dumped?
What?
Wow.
That's right. The option.
Wait, you have the option?
Yep. So
if it's your current
if you
love,
got an ex that deserves a stinking surprise this Valentine's let the elephant do the talking, and maybe you found the one that will send them something adorable. Our red pandas have you covered. So, so this is an interesting way to send a message to Rex for sure.
So if it's your current love, they get a red panda eating a grape.
They expanded the audience of this. Could it be an annoying neighbor, an overbearing mother-in-law, your ex, a coworker who gives you the nightmares? The list is rather long and distinguished. Most of your friends, right, Dave?
Yeah, Mike, expect an email sometime around the end of next week.
Wow, so why have this for Valentine's Day alone then?
I agree. You know what?
It's like sending people
those
those glitter
video
bombs.
that keeps on giving. Is that it? Yeah. It even comes with a digital card. At the end of the campaign, we'll announce the most popular names of the daters and dumpers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's always that problem though. It turns out your ex is actually really into elephant crap.
Yep.
So
The
that's
name of
just
this campaign
scat
is
play.
Name a Turd After a Turd.
How
Yeah.
romantic.
Wow.
How
I
romantic.
feel kind of bad for the elephants. Like, what are they getting out of this?
peanuts.
They're just like, hey,
They work for
I'm
peanuts.
just doing what I do.
So my favorite question about this was, what did Dave type into a search engine to find this story?
Possible gifts for Mike.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did that once and there was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of-
Was it born from Yugoslavia again?
It was more like East German 1980s kind of stuff.
I'm just stunned that Memphis Zoo would do this. I mean, I don't know the Memphis Zoo, so
I wanna
it
be-
just seems like, well, who was in that meeting going?
That's
it's
exactly
like, this seems like a great
Who was
idea.
in the room
See,
when this idea came
you and
down?
I have a very different opinion about Memphis.
Sparky was there.
I guess.
He
Yeah.
knows.
It's true. Oh, I mean, I'm just thinking in the nonprofit world, like, you know what? It worked because we're
Yeah,
talking
dude,
about
yeah,
it
dude.
on our radio
Actually,
show.
that's a great
I
point.
mean,
No such thing as bad publicity.
yeah,
So.
that's what my boss keeps telling me.
That's okay.
Well,
That's,
while we're talking about talking, why don't we talk about Talking Machine?
yeah.
No.
Well,
We're gonna talk about Lovebird
no,
first.
Lovebird. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Sorry.
next up is good old boy Dave.
So, my lovely sweetheart has always enjoyed a beer from a local brewery called Jackalope. That this is probably the only beer we buy from them on the reg. But Lovebird is a 4.4% fruited wheat beer with strawberries and raspberries.
What's wrong, Mike?
Yeah, Mike's
Okay.
having a hard day over
How
here.
you doing? You doing okay,
he's
bud?
missing that Gueuze right about now.
How's it going over there, bud?
Cracker here.
There's more Cantillon, Mike.
God.
Yeah.
Why don't you come over here?
Okay,
That's so
what?
hard.
Why don't you
Nothing
take
pairs
a
with
sip of
Lovebird
this yummy?
better than Cantillon
It's
Gueuze.
okay. Look, it's hard to find a beer that I like that on the regular. I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe Guinness or maybe something from Pennsylvania, but I do. I'm not really like a Heffa girl per se, but I just do like this. I like the story of this. I like supporting a local brewery. I mean, I'm sorry. And it used to be that this was only put out once every year.
Yes.
Now,
Not to infect the rest of the calendar.
Right.
now it is affecting.
I mean, I feel
or
like
infecting the.
I feel like a lot of times in Valentine's, you only put out once a year. I feel like that's
Everybody has to have a goal, Sparky.
it's true. I'm sorry.
But that makes it more special.
so sorry.
You know. Wow. You've killed us all, Sparky. You've killed us all.
So this strawberry raspberry wheat is 4.4% ABV. And may I just say how interesting that is that 3 out of 4 of you so far have picked beers that were in the 4 to 5 range, which I find interesting because if you're trying to woo and potentially super woo,
Well, I don't think
you know, you almost feel like you would want to have something a little higher ABV. But
So-
for us here at Sip Suds and Smokes, it's not about the
so. You're saying
ABV.
a lot of guys
except for Mike.
would go with a 40 of malt liquor to.
I tried some of this Black Tuesday.
I'm gonna go with a gummy and Lovebird. Actually, I'm just gonna skip the Lovebird and just go for the gummy. So yeah.
Okay, look.
Well, I think it's a nice, easy drinking little beer. You know, I mean, you could have it with some tacos, Dawn.
Skip the Lovebird.
Okay,
have the
look,
taco.
there's nothing extravagant about this beer. Okay, nothing. No bells and whistles. No crazy.
All right, so we don't have to
yeast.
defend it.
Okay.
So Kendall, what do you think about Lovebird?
I mean, I've had batches of Lovebird that I like. This one's not working for me. I'm getting a weird, almost bitter aftertaste in my mouth in the finish, and it's like I don't know if that's coming from whatever flavorings they use, but this doesn't taste like regular Lovebird to me.
It tastes like the LaCroix version of Lovebird to me. Like it's like I'm looking.
It has a little less of everything.
Yeah, like I'm drinking a Hefeweizen and then some over there. There's like a fruit that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and the fruit's not coming through as nice and juicy.
That I've had
like
before.
It feels almost.
It's
like,
very faint.
Yeah,
in this one.
and
It's
maybe
very faint.
even like just a flavoring instead of just fruit. I'm not getting a lot
And
of
this
it.
is this post buyout?
Yeah, I guess it might
Lovebird,
be. I guess it might be.
Yeah, they have had an ownership and management change, but it just doesn't seem the same.
And
to
a
me.
Timmy change.
I don't know if I would buy any more of this. It's just I'd give it a try. Maybe if they do something with it.
And I wonder, are they making bigger batches of it
I
and
mean,
stuff?
when it was
And that might-
seasonal and once a year,
Yeah.
it might have had a little extra tweaking to scale it up to full time production. They might have had to change some things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
It's a cute can.
I do not like this beer. I like this.
We didn't expect you to like this beer.
I know, but I'm sitting here listening to the conversation and my emissary stepping in and, being rather loquacious with just how much they don't like it as well.
Yeah.
So, I didn't like it when it was
Hey,
released.
listen, man.
I didn't like it
Sometimes-
3 years ago. I don't like it today.
Sometimes love is messy. All right. We don't all like the same things. It's all good.
But I am with Kendall. With all the batches I've had, there is something that is a bit off with this. There's some bitterness that's creeping in on this that I don't know where that came from.
I don't remember that.
I think the first time I ever had this was at a beer festival too. And like, I just remember the fruit being so much more forward, or it could have been wasted. It could be, or it might be both of those things.
Sure. Yeah, the first time that I had this was at a beer fest too. And I appreciated the fact that I wasn't getting a lot of the hefe to it and that I was getting so much fruit. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to have a hefe, this is the one I would have because it's not the banana and clove thing. You know what I mean?
So I think at the end of the day, right, we can all safely say that the only thing good old gal Julieanna has a good taste in is mint. All right. So,
And that's questionable.
Wow.
you know what,
Do you-
Kendall?
Banned once again.
Okay.
All right.
Well, anyways.
I'm sorry, baby.
The
We're gonna have to-
Lovebird falls short, and we are going to rate this one a 2.
Take
Now-
these broken wings.
Dave is
And
never
learn
going
to
to
fly.
like that.
Yeah. Which I actually do like that band. By
Is your
the way.
Netflix subscription up to date?
Okay. So everyone.
Am I going to be watching The Notebook?
Okay.
You
So
bet you, buddy.
cleanse your palate. Get the Lovebird out of your.
Oh, it's
taste
a
buds.
Lovebird out of your mouth.
It's
Yeah.
gone. It's
There's some Cantillon left. That'll do the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Well played.
Yep, the private stock ale will just rip the enamel off anything.
Okay.
Ooh, this
fine,
is fun.
Fine. Okay. So
is
now let's talk about what my beer that I got for good old boy Dave. This is called
this
Talking Machine
This is Dave all the way.
from Barrique. Is it not? See, so at least somebody knows their spouse. I'm being funny. Okay, so this is an English style IPA. It's 6% ABV. This was recently released by Barrique, so it was very serendipitous that it came out when it did. So, according to Barrique, they can go on and on about the history of IPA, India Pale Ale, and its voyage across the globe. But there is also a lot of mythology surrounding the past of this style. I mean, and there is. Okay, fine.
We did a show on it. as a
We
matter
we
of fact.
we did. So this is, to me, this is truly an English style
It is.
Oh, yeah.
IPA
All day.
all the way. So you're using Maris Otter from the UK, some crystal malt, a little corn sugar, and First Gold and Endeavour hops, which are from the UK.
I had this at the tap room on cask. It was
man.
That was exactly where I was headed, which is, was this on the beer engine? Because I would have loved to have had this.
It would be
on the
beautiful
beer
on the
engine.
beer engine.
It's on there right now.
And you know what? God bless Barrique for making something like this. Like it's really, they do just such a great job.
Love Joel and company. Huge fans.
Yeah, and I honestly think there's a lot of people that have no idea what an English IPA is supposed to taste like these days.
We are a long
And
way from that.
The ones we get from Britain are usually old and not great.
Yeah.
If you're in
everything's spun out.
Nashville, seek this out. It is a classic British IPA.
Big treat.
And you really understand when you drink this, you understand how this style kind of influenced American beer and kind of took over the world.
A lot of times, the closest you can get here is like, unless somebody does something like this, it'd be like an old school East Coast IPA, because that's about as
Those were
close.
similar.
Yeah.
Well, I love how thoughtful this is because, I know how much Dave really enjoys, really good, English style ales. And, even though the one that I brought is not really stepping into this same taste profile. So this is a lot more bitter. It's actually a lower ABV, I'm betting, as well. This is probably 4 or 5. Eh?
This is 6.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Wow. It's right in the wheelhouse.
but, to Kendall's point is that, I think we're really seeing how far off of the taste profile as this beer was originally defined, as it's been, it's been Americanized, with a completely different hop profile, than they even had to work with at all, when this style of beer was even established. So, do I think the Cascade hops, really kind of come close of heading down? Yes, they do. But I think they're overtly piney and sticky and don't really capture, I think, how more subtle this really is at the end of the day. So I really love the balance of this beer. Yeah. I think it is true to style. I mean, bravo, for Joel and company. Really great beer. Great choice, Julieanna.
Great choice, Julieanna.
Oh, you are so welcome. I wish that Karnowski was here to take, because he would be the guy. And for those of you that don't know Mr. Karnowski, it's Zebulon Ales in Weaverville. But like, he would appreciate this beer.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
agree.
Anyways, but yeah, glad you liked it. And this, to me, epitomizes that guy.
Oh,
This guy.
Good old boy Dave.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We are going to rate this, the talking machine from Barrique, a 5.
I love, since we're talking about love, I love that my beer that I bought for you is the only one that Mike crapped on. And it deserved it a little
start
bit.
it. It was about
it's
the
cool.
beer.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool.
I was the one that said LaCroix.
Yeah, the question is would Dave get laid with
Sparky,
this beer?
you could say anything.
That is the
It's
best
true.
question. Yeah.
Sparky can
bulletproof.
get away with anything.
Okay. So
I'm an
we-
adorable little imp.
I think you'd be
Okay.
watching the Notebook
Well,
on
will
the
Juliana
fifth
get
time.
laid with this last beer? So, I mean,
And there's that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we knew we might have a couple minutes left. And unbeknownst to us and Sparky, we brought out Serendipity from the cellar. And this is another one from New Glarus.
2017.
So 2017.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So this is apples, cherries, cranberries from Wisconsin that has been aged in oak with wild fermentation.
So the thing that I call this beer from New Glarus is my backyard, because these are the crops that are right around the brewery itself. And I love the fact that they have locally sourced a lot of things that are around them. In fact, there are tour buses that go, in and around this region of Wisconsin. To go and visit basically, this taste profile. So I love the fact that it's all
It's
in
drinking great.
there. Yeah.
It is,
Beautiful.
and again, like this might be a little bit more on the sour side, but what a great beer. And we are going to rate this a 5. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thanks so much to everyone for listening and enjoying our little lovely Valentine's themed episode. Good old boy Kendall, thanks so much for being here.
It was a pleasure. These were some excellent beers.
Please tell us about your blog.
My beautiful wife and I blog about the good news of good beer at beermakes3.com.
It's news now.
Good old boy, Mike. Thanks for being here.
Hey, come back, enjoy another exciting episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes. I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
Good old boy, Sparky. Thanks for being with us today.
It's great to be here. And if you can just sign this form that shows that I worked off some more of my community service hours, I'd appreciate it.
You've been doing that for years.
I know.
we?
We've got a long way to go.
Lovebird, get you 2 to 1.
Good old boy, Dave. Thanks for being here.
Oops, just a little bit more. Oh, my goodness.
This is good old gal Julieanna. Keep on chuggling and catch you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're listening to us online, do yourself a favor and tap
Tap it in.
the subscribe button.
Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
The easiest way to listen to our show is to ask Siri, Alexa, Google, Uncle Larry, or whoever it is that talks to you on your phone. Play podcast Sip, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our tasting notes flow out on Twitter and Instagram with our handle @SipSudsAndSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with the thousands,
Millions and millions
of other fans on those social media platforms. Do us a favor. Take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Come back, join us for another episode, and keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.